into a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Locke observed centuries ago that the debasement of money drives a fissure into the core of society by defrauding both lender and borrower. Not only economic but social trust unravels when this fundamental relationship is destroyed. The financial crisis was very much a Lockean betrayal of trust that started when the Fed pulled out the rug from under borrowers by raising artificially low interest rates. Homeowners would, who could no longer afford their homes stiffed lenders, producing a wave of foreclosures. The resulting collapse of major financial institutions took the wealth of millions down with them, and it also brought a new and improved utility that can wreck it all and bring it down, because that is what it's all about. Let's bring down the old. And thank you, Steve Forbes. That book is fabulous, by the way. If you haven't read this book, brilliant book, brilliant man right there, brilliant wise man right there. Sadly, he's a capitalist, but whatever. I am the legacy of Jennifer Kaiser. This is Crypto Wednesday. Hold up, it's Saturday. Wednesday. It'll be Wednesday soon enough. Episode 74. Let's go. I added that last part, that last bit, and from the book. I didn't actually read that. I added that. It was interesting.
Did AI send you to that book real quick, or did you find it on your own?
What, the book?
Yeah.
Dude,
did it
book?
refer you to the book, or did you find it on your own?
I stole this book from the library fucking 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I adversely possessed my taxes about 10 years ago. Oh no, I read it about 10 years ago. I actually got that as recent. I took that from the library this year. I adversely possessed it, but I read that book back like 10 years ago. It's a good book, actually. when I saw it at the library, I'm like, okay,
Damn
now I gotta
capitalist.
have it. Now I gotta have it. Now yeah, it's there, right for the taking. I'm gonna take it.
That's right. And that's exactly what we're watching today. It's another Bitcoin.com video, tale from rags to riches. So let's get into it for Crypto Wednesday. Ready? Here we go.
Billionaire is one of the first Bitcoin L2 focused on BVM paradigm. We achieved over 27 million transactions, around 750 million on TVL, over 280 projects.
All right. Thank you, sir, for doing this.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. To start with, can you please tell me your name and what you do?
My name is Charlie. I'm co-founder of BitLayer.
All right. That was fast. Please tell our audience, what is BitLayer?
Yeah, sure. Well, BitLayer is one of the first Bitcoin L2 focused on BVM paradigm, working on the BVM, Bitcoin Trust Minimized Bridge, and the Bitcoin verification. So far, we launched our V1 mainnet last April. We achieved over 27 million transactions, around 750 million on TVL, over 280 projects. So we're EVM compatible. We are launching our BVM bridge. Testing already launched last December. Now in the process of working with many L1s and L2s. Some pretty well-known ones are already confirmed. We're going to make an announcement next week in Denver. And a lot of our focus on DeFi, especially with institutions.
Yes. Yeah, I'm mute.
So when are we? Thank you. When are we going to a Bitcoin convention or a crypto convention, man?
Well, I'm sure when we get 500 subscribers, we'll really consider. We'll plan. Maybe we'll have a Bitcoin billionaire party.
Screw the 500 subscribers on YouTube, man. Everybody move over to Rumble. Like us, follow us on Rumble, and anywhere else that you find us on the podcast sphere. Although Legacy News is on Rumble, it ain't on the podcast sphere yet. Maybe it will one day. But follow us over on Rumble. The hell with YouTube. But if you want to subscribe to YouTube, go right ahead.
Here we go.
So we are designing some interesting Bitcoin ETF or ETP products with institutions like Franklin Templeton and 21 Shares.
When I started drinking ice water to help me lose weight, my friends laughed at me. But when they saw how fast...
Great. Yeah. So getting good adoption, it seems.
Yes.
But I would like to take a step back.
I can't help it. I'm trying to lose weight. Oh.
I don't have control of anything, everybody. Let's see if I can do this. I think I really did it. Oh, no, he's reanimating. Oh, no.
Play the video.
I think he's dead, everybody. Oh, he's zombifying. I don't know why this is funny.
Framework of technology using Bitcoin script. The key features BVM going to deliver is, one of them is trust minimized bridge. So where we are in the landscape of Bitcoin ecosystem is mostly multi-sig. Rely on the majority of the signers are honest, right? That's the trust assumption to bridging Bitcoin liquidity from Bitcoin L1 to any other side chains or other side systems. So BVM bridge we are delivering is basically, we call this third generation Bitcoin bridging solutions. So WBTC, Wrapped Bitcoin, is the first generation. There are like one-way pegging, peg out, kind of like TBDC, which we call this like second generation. And the BVM bridge is basically the two-way pegging, peg out, third generation. People have to just trust one signers on the bridging platform is honest, then the users found is safe. So that's the main first product we're utilizing BVM technology we're delivering. The second one, as you mentioned, is the Bitcoin L2, right? So in the past, there's no real Bitcoin L2, like roll-up model. It's more like sidechain with their own validator sets. There's no security budget contributing back to Bitcoin L1, right? Miners cannot share the fees on a sidechain. So whatever transaction happening on sidechain doesn't really settle back to Bitcoin block in the Bitcoin network. So that's the key difference we want to make and move the needle to build real Bitcoin security equivalent to layer 2 with the Bitcoin verification, not just a sidechain.
From a technical side, how have you achieved this trust minimized thing without like changes to the Bitcoin mainnet? Like for example, there's at least on crypto Twitter, there's a lot of talk from some people about like getting soft fork or hard fork or like opcat, things like that, different opcode changes.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting nuances behind that. Thanks for the question. So for the context for the people who are watching, like Bitcoin, innovating Bitcoin, especially like any operation on Bitcoin network is always pretty challenging. It's a governance challenge, right? We need getting a consensus alignment from the miners, from the whales, of course, the Bitcoin core. It normally takes years to have that. So let's assume we want to have a like opcat or whatever operation. It's going to take a while. So our approach, Bitlayer, from the very beginning, the reason we chose the design of BVM, right, to work on that using the existing Bitcoin script, doesn't rely on soft fork, hard fork, is based on that kind of assumption. We are not going to have another BIP in the next 2 years, right? And probably even next 4 years. And there's going to be a lot of debates, a lot of consensus building still around. It took Taproot asset operation, it took 3.5 years to have that operation, right? We might have another 2 or 3 years ahead of curve to figure out, should we go for the CTL, should we go for the opcat and all that, right? So basically all these like a major operation, which will involve a lot of stakeholders, especially miners and Bitcoin cores to evolve. So our approach using BVM is basically using the existing Bitcoin script code to do the fraud proof on Bitcoin network, right? So that's kind of essentially how it works, doing the challenge game, doing the optimism fraud proof to kind of verify transactions. There's some challenges on that, and that's kind of the engineering challenge we're going to deliver. That's why it took us already 14 months, like over 30 engineers, 15 full-time deliver. We're still kind of work in progress. It's probably one of the most ambitious engineering solution we are delivering in the space. But I think we're getting there, including with a few other teams also delivering with a different approach. But basically the assumption is like using existing opcode without depending on any soft fork, hard fork, which is another debate. Is hard fork good or bad for the network, right? There's like different opinions across the community.
What's your personal opinion?
I think there's a risk involved, right? There's a vulnerability involved. There's security vulnerability involved, which we don't know, right? So that's kind of a way to put it. But I think to have an opcat, there's definitely some benefits to the miners, to the network, to make the network much more expressive, allow more programmability and a smart contract around. So hopefully there will be more use cases being built natively on Bitcoin network. And then miners get getting more fees, network will become more robust with security, and it just as a healthy ecosystem. Right now, in the last, especially last couple of become very low for bad reason, because there's nothing going on, right? So it's not good for the long run. For the sake of long-term sustainability of Bitcoin network, we need a transaction, we need the use cases for Bitcoin holders, and the demand side, especially for ordinal season, already proved it's already there. So we just need to have the right infrastructure and the right use cases for people.
Great, thanks. That was a great answer. Excellent.
Yes.
All right, so I want to circle back to some of the things that you were talking about before. You were talking about partnerships with other layer ones.
Yes.
And then partnerships with some kind of like traditional financial institutions like Franklin Templeton.
Right.
So let's start with the L1s. What does that mean? What does a partnership mean?
Yeah, great question. So these are two complete type of different partnership, right? So with L1s or some Ethereum L2, like for example, Arbitron, it really comes down to just we have access to the Bitcoin liquidity. They need new Bitcoin assets, right? Through this BVM bridge, which is a new technology they want to embrace and integrate. The new TVL can help them for adding to their ecosystem protocols such as DEXs, lending, liquid staking, and so on. And what we're looking for is sourcing yield, right? Or sustainable yield for the liquidity provider we can bring. So basically, it's a one-to-one pack, right? The native Bitcoin to the wide yield-bearing Bitcoin. We're gonna generate minted on different chains. So that's kind of the collaboration on the bridge side and also on the liquidity provision side. That's on the chain.
So sorry. So let me just clarify. So then that means that the L1 would have to build some infrastructure on their side, and then you would build the infrastructure on your side. Okay.
Yeah, we will have the bridge. They have the chain, but they basically connect as the top, let's say, lending protocol, other liquidity protocols.
Okay.
They provide yield. And some of the chain from the foundation actually will maybe provide a few percent of the yield with from their own foundation token as incentive.
Okay.
Right. That's kind of the liquid provision deals we're looking at. To looking even more concrete specific, we're looking at, let's say, one chain, 200 Bitcoin kind of, to all the way to 2,000 Bitcoin kind of liquid provision deal.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, you're allotting.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
gotcha.
one tranche after the other. The yield APY is like come from 3% all the way to 10%. Some of the API will be incentivized or supported from the foundation token as well. But at the end of the day, we try to looking at the equilibrium or like the sweet spot, right, for the liquid provider and also the yield provider. Yeah.
Great. And then from the institutional side, like Franklin Templeton, what does that relationship
The institutional
look like?
side is a bit different. Obviously, some of the institution actually sits on a lot of Bitcoin. They are looking for yield opportunities. They are looking for asset management opportunity. They don't want to sit on their Bitcoin doing nothing forever, right? They have been kind of doing sit there since the beginning of the ETF. So some of them are in the agenda to look at what are the right partner for them to seeking yield in the long run. What are the APY come from? What's the risk assumption out there? So these are the things that we are kind of designing products for those people. Start from Franklin Templeton, who is our leading investor on the Series A, and also designing some products like ETP product with like potential 21 shares, and even trust product with Grayscale. Still early stage, work in progress. It takes time for those institutions to really move the needle. What are we be hearing? Some rumors, just rumors, nothing official yet. SEC potentially later this year or maybe early next year going to approve the Bitcoin ETF staking, which
nice.
can unlock a lot of opportunities for the ETF firm institutions. I think right now is a good timing for the institution to really figure out who the right partners, including us potentially, to work with them. It takes them at least half a year, right, to really figure out, do the MOU, do the test run. Once SEC actually officially approve that, and then they're ready to go. So that's the kind of where we are talking to other institutions, figure out the strategy and the collaboration with them.
Why did you cancel your Midjourney subscription? I found this hidden AI that does everything I want for.
That's awesome. That's cool. All right. So this is my last question. I would say if you look at like ETH right now, it's ETH in the ETH ecosystem is obviously struggling. It's been struggling. And you going into, like, I would say last year, everyone thought, or the main narrative was that the ecosystem of L2s would create a lot of activity that would settle on the main chain. Right. And that hasn't been the case at all.
Ethereum, it's not being that case.
Right. Like value hasn't accrued back to the main chain at all. For me, I look at this and I think Bitcoiners and like the Bitcoin, this burgeoning Bitcoin L2 ecosystem should pay attention to this, because you got to make sure that value still accrues back to the main chain, right?
That's the difference we want to make. We're not a side chain which doesn't really have the transaction set up back to Bitcoin L1. We want to be the real Bitcoin native L2, right, with Bitcoin settlement. And obviously what happened with Ethereum, it's a structural problem, an architectural problem, right? There's just way too many Ethereum L2s. With that sequencer model, there's not too much fees contributing back to Ethereum L1, right? And a lot of due to the price sensitive of Ethereum L2, a lot of the fees are being very, very low. A lot of Ethereum L2 has not making too much fees revenue as well, right? So I think the beauty of Bitcoin and also Bitcoiners is like, if there's a legitimate solid use cases, a lot of Bitcoiners wouldn't really be the ultimate price sensitive in terms of price. We already kind of see that with ordinals in 2023. I know with the L2s, we are multiple magnitudes cheaper than Bitcoin L1, right? But it's still, we are more expensive, let's say, with like Ethereum L2s or like Solana. But that gives us a sweet spot to generating interesting fees, and some of them will be, contributing back as a settlement fee on the Bitcoin layer 1. So I hope that's a very important legitimate contribution in a sustainable way for the miners to getting fees, to the kind of value recruiting. At the end of the day, it's finding the equilibrium, right? The user willing to pay the fees to do the transactions, and the fees is a sufficient fee to have the value recruiting back to miners and miners actually keep just getting incentivized to contributing the security budget
Yeah.
to the network. Yeah.
Has there been any like I would love to see any conversations or how do you say like economic scenarios of how Bitcoin L2s and the Bitcoin mainnet would structure things differently so they don't run into this Ethereum problem?
Well, I think we are kind of learning by doing. I wouldn't say it's already scientific, simulation being done. We're doing that by doing we generating quite a lot of fees last few months. Last November we generated over 600,000, at least 100,000 being contributing back to Bitcoin. Layer one. I think with some of the free switch structure, we will hopefully get more transaction happen on our network. And obviously we'll have our TGE coming soon with governance structure. We want to onboard and getting more validators who co-manage our ecosystem, our network. And I think with BVM evolve on BVM 2, more bridging happening, more fees generating on the bridge and all the others. Hopefully we'll have more revenue, right? And then we can contributing back to Bitcoin more. Obviously we're gonna see the Bitcoin renaissance being more hype, more real transaction and energy happening on the Bitcoin layers like us. Then we can have a new kind of parameters of economic numbers we can look at. Right now, fairly speaking, the Bitcoin network has been pretty dull. It's not too much going on. The network has been, as you mentioned, David, mempool has been kind of empty. Not too much going on Bitcoin L1. L2s we can level up more for sure. And yeah, I think that's still in the work in progress. We are kind of learning by doing. That's all I have to say. We're learning, figure out the economic model and finding the sweet spot.
Good, yeah, and Ethereum is a great thing to look at to maybe not what to do.
Yeah, to avoid the mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and so on.
Exactly, yeah. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the questions.
Looking for the sweet spot, bro.
Right.
You in the pink,
Yeah,
one in the stink, baby.
Gotta go there for Crypto Wednesday. I mean Saturday. What is this?
It's called he said it. He started it. He said sweet
Right.
spot.
Well, we're finishing it.
Ching.
Yeah. Listen here, man. These people are end of life cycle developing for a chain that's, losing user base constantly. But this is a very important lesson. They made a lot of money. $0 to 750 million. That's a lot of money. It's a test concept. You have to have some sort of foundation to build on in order to have a use case for future projects. You have to have some kind of evidence to justify, moving out and distributing your work onto a different chain.
They don't have any evidence on any sort of success. From what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that they're proving that they know what they're doing, and the fact that they're building something successfully on Bitcoin, which is a dying chain. It's like trying to develop a video game for an end of life cycle console like the Switch. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. You would want to go to the new console, the new chain, something that's more effective, more delivering. So you're having a lot of fun there.
Number go
another
up.
Way to look at
that's big.
Another way to look at this is that instead of just doing it on one chain, you could. It's like the video game model. You could do this for one console, which is a console exclusive, or you can do like a third party where you have the same kind of infrastructure, but it's built for each different chain. It's
layer zero.
If you have a lot of money, you have enough resources to build that out so that you have more likely ability to survive in this ecosystem. It's a very fast moving ecosystem. It's hard to be certain about anything right now.
Yeah, you can effectively invest that money into diverting and forking through other chains effectively. I mean, attach it to multiple different chains rather than go through one singular dying apparatus. So I mean, you heard it right there. They were talking about Ethereum. I mean, ETH is not doing too hot. Really hasn't been doing very hot in the last couple of years, really.
A big,
What
I
do you
think
think?
a big
What
part
do you
of
think?
big part of the problem is that it went from proof of work to proof of stake,
Mm,
and that
yeah,
they thought
I
that
agree.
that was gonna solve their inflation problem, but it didn't.
Mm-mm.
It's a pivot, but it could be a fail pivot if they don't actively build on what they did. So
Makes
it's
you
more like
makes you think. It makes you wonder what is on Vitalik's mind. Is he even
well,
involved with ETH anymore? Or
yeah,
I'd
he's one
assume
of
yes.
the
That's what.
founding
Yeah,
members. So
I know
I
he's
mean
one of the founding members. I was just
that's one of
curious if he was
that's the
still
baby.
involved. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just curious if he was still involved. I know he's the founding member, really. I mean, he's like the top dude. So all fascinating stuff. I mean, there's definitely workarounds where you can make things better and grow, but a lot of these guys, it just doesn't seem like they're in it to actually do something with it. They're here to make their money and get out, and that's the sad part of this
because it
industry
was
anymore.
hijacked. Bitcoin was hijacked by the CIA, the FBI, the deep state, whatever you want to call it.
Hey,
But
let's not.
this
We don't.
Bitcoin,
Before we go into that
Bitcoin,
conspiracy theory, I get it. I get it, and it definitely talks about that in the book, the possibility, right? And there's no doubt about it that federal agencies had their hand in certain apparatuses of Bitcoin to kind of shift it one way to another. To yeah, but I don't think to put some nuance into it. Let's just say, for the sake of it, that it wasn't a federal operation to hijack it. It wasn't the CIA. It wasn't any intelligence agency. It was just squandering a good idea for personal gain,
I can see
for
that.
a new one. Which, I mean, theoretically, personal gain really got in the way. Greed got into the way. I mean, for a lot of this entire industry, it became an industry. That's what happened. It became a industry.
Normalized.
Mm.
They
Normalizing.
stabilized it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bailout for the banks.
Look at that water. See how clear that is?
I do.
You can get yours for $80 on Amazon, everybody. Not a sponsor. It's just so good water, the way it filters.
Right.
So you were saying something?
I was just
Go on.
saying it's a bailout
Oh,
for the banks, but really the ecosystem going to eat the Bitcoin core away and break up that bailout, because in a real world model, bailouts don't work. They never have and never will. It's only the state centralized control that enables bailouts to survive.
get out of the conspiracy. To take the tinfoil hat off. Let's come from this. Let's take a step back. All right.
I'll put my hair plugs on.
All right. Well, let's take a step back. Yes, it is true. Bailouts do not work. The best the best thing to do is to allow any sort of business, whether bank, whether software engineering firm, or crypto hedge fund. At this rate, that's basically what they've become.
BlackRock.
I mean, yeah, BlackRock. Any business, that's financial industry. Any business, it doesn't matter if they're failing. Let it fail. It's healthy. It's healthy to let businesses that are failing fail, and if they can pick themselves up and pick up the pieces and go from there and raise from the ashes in a healthy market, then good for them. That's a great Cinderella story. But I mean, that's just how the market works, man. I mean, you're gonna have ups, you're gonna have downs, and you're gonna have certain businesses, certain assets go down, and you're gonna have certain assets rule the day. There shouldn't be any such case of bailout, and that's effectively what Bitcoin has become. It has become a secondary asset to attach to the banks for something, to have a hedge so that they don't fail. they can
It's a
hedge
honey
against
pot.
the failing dollar. Don't say honeypot. Dude,
Okay.
don't. Dude, we're only 5 years since Jeffrey Epstein's apparent suicide, and everything that's transpired.
I'm not
before and after
suicidal.
that. I mean, don't. Yeah, honeypots. You say honeypot, man, they're gonna start asking questions. I'm gonna get a door because you said it. I'm gonna get a knock on my door.
You're welcome.
Because I'm the one that always gets the knock on the door.
Is that the old man? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to leave now, but I was sure I came in by that door over there. Hey, man, where's the door to get out of here?
Oh, it's right over there, sir.
Right over where?
The exit sign? Exit sign? It's that door right there.
That red sign?
Yeah, just go right that way.
Okay.
I think it went down the wrong door.
Where am I? Hey, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's not the right door.
Sir, you're gonna want to go to the one with the exit. You went to the door to the side there.
I went to the right doors and where you pointed me to, you fuck.
I pointed you to the exit.
Man, you're fucking with the wrong guy.
I'm sorry.
You see this bulge on my hip? You know what that is?
That's a gun.
That's a Glock. You're fucking with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Don't ever send me to the wrong door.